Hello everybody, Nicholas Snow here. Welcome to another episode of HIGHRPOWRD on PromoHomo.TV. This is a really special and important episode. We'll be talking about the 6th Annual Finding Freedom Symposium. It's a hybrid conference this year, happening both online with intimate local opportunities if you happen to be in the greater Palm Springs area. It's happening January 20th through the 22nd, 2021. And I think it's so wonderful that we have this to look forward to, because never before has the world been aware of the fragility of mental and emotional well-being. We're all up against challenges, and then when you throw in the reality of addiction that impacts so many, one can exacerbate the other. And the Finding Freedom Symposium has announced a really important theme this year, well, for 2021, which is technically next year: expanding perspectives in LGBTQi plus mental health and addiction treatment. So an upside of the fact that we need to be virtual is that this conference is now more accessible than it's ever been anywhere to anyone, because we're used to engaging with each other just like I'm engaging with you now. If you had been hearing about this a year ago, it would have been happening in person, and you may not have the resources or the time to attend, and that could be very well different for you this year. So that's what's coming up, and I couldn't be more excited. Now, regarding this show, if you're not familiar with HIGHRPOWRD, HIGHRPOWRD features stories of experience, strength, and hope, infusing infinite views of spirituality and purpose. A key focus of the series is to take recovery out of the closet, giving people the opportunity to share their triumphant stories without identifying specific 12-step programs, in keeping with the traditions of those programs. Additionally, HIGHRPOWRD features thought leaders from all walks of life that may not have a connection to recovery. It's a broad, encompassing show on purpose. So in early October, with the fall season of PromoHomo.TV, that launched this summer with 33 episodes across 5 series, in early October, I launched a Patreon account. And throughout most of the show, you're going to see how you can subscribe to PromoHomo.TV for as little as $3 a month. And I've gotten a patron a week, and I want to give them a shout out. Brad Furr of Gay Desert Guide, G. Francis Giles, and Rhonda Hart, president of Palm Springs Pride, have all become patrons of PromoHomo.TV. So I want to thank them for that. And without further delay, I'll be back with some really wonderful guests who are really important in our community, and I consider them friends and colleagues after this.
You're with me, it's alright. Together, all our lives, a new start is inside. We're falling, it feels right. It's okay to hold me. You know where I wanna be. It's okay to hold me. And when you come, I hear the sound. I hear it high, I hear it loud. You light me up when you're around. Look what we found, look what we found. It's take me, no questions. I'm broken, affection. It's okay to hold me. You know where I wanna be. It's okay to hold me.
if you happen to be watching live and you comment to the broadcast with a question or a comment, I can put you on screen just like that. And I'd love the opportunity to do so. Without further delay, I want to bring on my guest for today's episode, and they are 3 of the 7 founders of the Finding Freedom Symposium. Welcome Renee Baribeau, Terry L. Gatewood, and Jonathan Wynn. It's so great to see all of you.
Hi, Nicholas.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Nicholas, for having us here and for being such a great patron of the Finding Freedom Symposium.
You know, it's my honor. I am in recovery myself, and by virtue of my role as a journalist, I do have a professional connection, I guess, to the industry, and so it really is my honor. I get a lot out of the conference. Renee, I'd love to just start with you because if I understand correctly, you have an interesting story about a donut shop.
I actually think it's a Jewish deli, but it's a donut shop. They make good cookies. We were a few years ago, well, I guess it was over 6 years ago, that we went out to lunch, and my boss had given me this job of creating this conference. At the very same moment, Terry and Jonathan were talking about creating an LGBTQ addiction treatment conference. And so unbeknownst to all of us, we met for lunch, and there we were talking about the same conference. And so here we are 6 years later, still talking about the conference, and it keeps evolving and changing in this growing.
Well, it's very exciting, and I think that you're going to have the best attended conference ever. So, Finding Freedom 2021 seeks to answer the questions: how do we reach the underserved LGBTQi+ population, and how do we treat them once they come to our program? One panel in particular will explore how to create a safe and supportive collective healing environment when fundamental LGBTQ+ rights are at risk. That's some pretty meaty stuff that you're going to be taking on. I just wanted to get that information out right away for our viewers. But Terry, I'd like to get your perspective on Renee's version of the deli.
Well, actually, was it a deli? I thought for a minute, I thought it was a Thai restaurant. But so see, it's like I'm already being diverse as well, and so is she.
Well, and I already won a pastrami sandwich, an apple fritter, and some pad thai. So.
Well, and and I'm sure that Jonathan's going to remember it as Southern barbecue. Okay, which, oh my gosh, I'm getting hungry even thinking about it. But I think that was so cool. Even when she was telling that story, I was getting goosebumps because it was so amazing how this synergy has been, and this collective of the community here in Coachella Valley and Palm Springs, but also throughout there's our rainbow community, and how so many people have come together just as we just happen to come in and sit down and say, hey, this is something we want to do for our community and show best practices and working with our community, because we take this very personally, and we're so passionate about it. I am so excited for this coming up symposium. I actually love, kind of the virtual piece of it as well, because we're going to be able to bring people from all over the world and to be able to participate, and money is not an issue. And frankly, mental health and chemical dependency treatment should not be an issue of money.
Well, all of us for the last 8 months have done a lot of virtual communication. And this weekend, I happen to be participating in my first actual online conference for the National Gay and Lesbian Journalist Association.
Oh,
And
right on.
I have to tell you, I'm getting so much out of it, and it's such a powerful, engaging opportunity. And while you're listening to someone, you can add them on LinkedIn, and it puts networking at a whole new level. But Jonathan, it's your take now. Was it a deli? Was it a donut shop? Maybe it was a pizza parlor.
I actually I remember it being a deli. That's where I remember it was a wonderful spot here in the desert, and it was amazing. You know, first I want to say thank you to Nicholas. You're not just an important part of this conference and what you've done here, but you're such a crucial part of the Coachella Valley and the, you know, mental health and happiness of the people who live here. And it's such an honor to have you working with us on this. But I also want to say the same thing to my other co-hosts here with Terry and Renee. These are the best in the business. And I am humbled to be kind of sharing this virtual stage with you guys, because you really are the people who always show up. You're always knocking it out of the park. And I'm just really honored to be here.
Well, Jonathan, I'm so happy that you're here. You know, one of the things we're going to talk about, and I'm going to segue into this piece of it now, is I want all of you to share some experience, strength, and hope related to your connection to the world of recovery and the Finding Freedom Conference. And we'll start with you, Jonathan.
So, you know, my story is probably a little bit different. I am not a man in recovery, but recovery and addiction has been a part of my life. I've worked in it for the last 12, 13, 14 years. So some of the best people that I've met in my entire lifetime, including my best friend and now my partner, these are all recovery people. And it's been such a gift to me to watch him kind of, you know, adjust to the situation with COVID and being at home and switching over to Zoom meetings and making sure that his friends were taken care of, and that, you know, he's checking in with people and making sure that everyone has an outlet. And, you know, that's what recovery is about. You know, everybody hears about, you know, the herd mentality, be in the middle of it, you know, and to watch people go through really difficult things and have that kind of underlying issue and still maintain positivity and maintain, you know, their sobriety. They're my inspiration. And although I'm not in the program, I'm definitely an ally. I'm definitely a part of the support structure. And my hat goes off to each and every one of the people who are struggling with addiction and making their way through it.
Well, Jonathan, you have an incredible loving energy, and I always feel supported by you, and I know the people you touch feel the same way. I just want to clarify something for people that heard Jonathan reference herd. It has nothing to do with herd immunity that we're hearing about, which is a terrible thing. It has to do with being in the middle of the boat of those who are really going after the solutions in their recovery journeys. I wanted to throw that in, Jonathan, because of the way herd is being
herd mentality,
around.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well,
Jonathan was a cowboy in his previous life. So.
Previous life,
He still thinks he's a cowboy.
right? Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
So, Renee, tell me some of your experience, strength, and hope as it relates to recovery and the Finding Freedom Conference.
For me, my life is pretty spirit driven. I've been sober now for like 33 years, and there's always another layer of that onion to peel. And when I was asked to put this conference on, because I'm an event planner and all of that, I thought, well, this will be a one and done. I didn't think that there'd be anything more to talk about, and yet every year Spirit has revealed and shown that there's a bigger conversation here that's going on. And I really believe that this whole gender and this whole dissolving of gender is really the next spiritual frontier. And as the practical shaman, that's a lot of my recovery is in nature-based traditions, that I just keep getting awe-inspired by the people who show up year after year, and the depth and the breadth of the fight, of the willingness, of the connection, of the community, and that the conversation was way bigger. And one of the things for me is that I think I came out during this conference. Now, I had been out since I was, 20, and I always thought, well, I'm not part of that tribe. You know, I'm not a really very good lesbian after all. And one of the things that I realized through this conference is that I could be any kind of lesbian that I wanted, and that I think this has been the biggest growth for me is to find a tribe that wasn't defined by my own limited version or vision of it.
That's very well stated. I just, for those of you that just saw me bring up an image, I was just queuing up some of the highlighted panelists, and we're going to get to them in a minute. But Terry, share some of your experience, strength, and hope as it relates to recovery and finding freedom.
Well, I've been in recovery for almost 15 and a half years, actually a little more than that. I'm a meth sex addict.
I want to interrupt you for just a second because you have appeared on HIGHRPOWRD. People can find it at PromoHomo.TV, and I've spent almost an hour with you when you tell your very specific journey, and I want the viewers to know about that. But please continue.
Oh, thanks, Nicholas. And Nicholas has been so incredibly helpful too with me at Blue Tiger Recovery, and I started that process because, like I said, I've been in recovery. I went and got to my MSW to be able to really work with my peers. As my dad would say, stick with what you know and you'll go far. And so far, so good. But it's even more expanded than that. And especially here during COVID, that's one of the reasons why we're actually doing one of the sessions about sex during COVID-19 and how to navigate that and what lessons do we learn.
There was such a thing. Thank you for that news. I'm really happy to know.
Nicholas, come on. Who are you talking to? Okay. So, but it's like, a lot of, I'm a sex addiction therapist, and a lot of people in my community are like appalled that so many Pornhub and other outfits have made billions of dollars. Well, I mean, frankly, during this age, it's like porn and masturbation and using other ways of sexual expression. We have to be creative, because if we're not, we could very well die, which sounds so familiar to what we went through with the HIV epidemic. I've been HIV positive since I was 23. And so I know about having to navigate that when there wasn't treatment, when there wasn't a cure. And so we're going to look at bringing those lessons that so many in our community have, this rich understanding and experience. And I think we can share so much with the world. But I guess in my hope and my strength is that in recovery, we are accustomed to, we have a saying, the only thing you need to change in recovery is everything. And right now during COVID-19, we're really having to look at everything that we're doing. And, folks in recovery, we know what this is about. And I know it's really difficult at times for those dealing with the anxiety and the depression and the sadness and the isolation. But I think we're up to the task, and especially in our community, how we can lift ourselves up and we can learn from those that have come before us how to tackle this challenge. And I'm glad, to share, especially with these folks. I have so enjoyed working with them year after year to help put this symposium on. I'm getting chills again. I'm so passionate about this because these are amazing people, and we brought on an incredible team as community partners to help us. And Renee, every single year brings amazing speakers and keynotes. Amazing job. And so I'm just so excited.
Fantastic. I mentioned that this program is live, as you know, and RJ says that they're watching from the Philippines. I love this community. I feel a sense of belonging.
We love you.
Yay. And so in keeping with the theme, I want to share a little bit of my experience, strength, and hope. So the reason that HIGHRPOWRD respects the tradition of 12-step programs and people don't identify a 12-step program that they might be in is that the beauty of those programs, which are one tool of recovery, not the only path, but one tool, is that there are no leaders, there are no spokespeople, there are but trusted servants. So it's not up to me to promote a particular 12-step program as its spokesperson, because I'm not. And also, if I were to fail, it would reflect poorly on the program, and it's not the program that failed in that circumstance. So I just want to give that added information. Um, but I have over 19 years of sobriety, and what brought me into that particular program that addresses that is a collision of issues around food, around sex, around relationships, and other issues. And I have learned today that I probably have all of itism. And it has been my experience that that the process of recovery has transformed my life. And I'll sum it up by saying that I've been a media activist since the mid 80s, but at that time I had such a core of desperation because I had a vacuum of self esteem. And I was nowhere near as effective coming from that space as I can appear today, one day at a time, as someone who has an integrated, holistic being within me. That's who I am today. And I will say that the thing that I've gotten that has been most sustainable is just that authentic, sustainable self esteem has been one of my big gifts of recovery. But also, even recently, I have learned to make authentic connections with other human beings because I'm basically afraid of people, which is why I developed this media platform. It's gave me a way of connecting to the world. And now I get to connect authentically with all of you because of the work that we do together. So I wanted to just throw that out there. Renee, I love it that you have, as part of your programming, Trans Saturday. Tell me about that.
This year, when we were trying to reach out to an underserved population, one of the things that's about this conference is that it always reveals itself to me because I get the applications about where the agenda's going. I might have some ideas, but then by the time that I'm looking at it all, it seems to form itself. And this year there was enough of a variety in what people wanted to talk about from the transgender community and diversity that I'm there like, well, that's a good year to give them a day, like that, give this a voice, a whole Saturday. And then, being the event planner I am, I'm there like, oh, it's going to be Trans Saturday. Just, and I extended the conference for a day. And that's the way this conference reveals itself. Last year, one of the women who was the founder of this, the woman I worked for, the CEO, I ran into her daughter at Gay Pride in San Diego, and I had known a little bit of the story that had inspired this whole conference to come about. And I saw her daughter, who was a they, who had been a they, a him, and a they, a she, and they were in their full power. And I knew, oh, this is the year we're going to have her speak. And so this is the year we're going to give voice to a lot of the transgender population who want to talk about food, who want to talk about lots of different issues. And it's very exciting because we haven't given that whole space to this yet.
And to piggyback on top of that, so I know that one of the things that Finding Freedom is really working hard to do, as I am with my own platform, is to seek out people that have been marginalized and disenfranchised. And I'm taking on my own responsibility for systemic racism and doing what I can to understand white privilege. And I just am going to add sort of some of the speakers that you have joining. And I was wondering if not only you, if any of you who want to would reflect about the individuals on screen, but if you want to talk about your success in offering a more diverse program this year.
Well, if
They
I may,
may.
I think that we've always wanted to. I know that it was, for a couple of years ago, Renee and the team all got together and looked at ways that we could kind of expand the horizons a little bit, and it was surprisingly more difficult than you'd expect. The trans community in particular is skeptical that we're going to be able to truly provide something of substance, and that's a part of the reality. That's their lived reality, and that's okay. I think that getting more of a focus on the trans community is super important. But I think next year we start looking at having a trans person on the committee. We're always looking at ways that we can make it better, and obviously it's important. They're important. We all know and love people who are in the trans community and want them to be safe and happy and equal and all those things. And I know that we all have the same focus on making sure that people of color are represented. We've got a bunch of white guys and Renee on here, but we really
Oh, don't forget Lauren.
exactly. But we want to focus. You can see from the speakers that you had on the screen, we're really doing what we can to bring some diversity.
Well, that's wonderful. Speaking of the speakers on the screen, Renee, would you like to talk about each of these 6 of many, but would you like to tell us a little bit about the speakers that we're seeing now?
Absolutely. I'll start in the bottom. I guess it would be on your left, but Deline Van Dyke, she actually
we love her.
we love her. She came from South Africa a few years ago. I think it was year number 1 or 2 to speak. And we've never been able to have her come back because of the cost of traveling. But this year she can come and speak virtually, which makes it accessible to people. Like we were talking about, people all over the world. And Shania Thomas, she is an instructor. And we're really excited that she's going to bring to that it's okay to be uncomfortable with the nuances of this whole dance. It's not comfortable, folks. We don't know how to do this. And it's the first step of not knowing how to do it is to say you don't know how to do it. And then Patrick Lockwood, he's going to be talking about the chemsex spectrum. And this is bringing community that hasn't been working with us for years and things like that. So behind the scenes, we're bringing back together people who have been with us and haven't been with us. And so there's a lot more going on. And then Vaughn Darst is going to be one of our featured speakers on Trans Saturday and is talking about the diversity of clients with eating disorders. But we're also going to hit the transgender youth that day. And then Adana Shavas, she is on Intervention 911 on the TV show. And one of the things that she's noticed that's going on in New York City, which there's so much fighting and hostility, that they've had to start reading about how to behave sexually in AA in 12-step meetings in New York City, because people are being sexually, what do you call that, Terry, when they're being sexually abused? Inappropriate, that they're reading,
harassed.
they've added to their 12-step meetings things. So like, how do you get through that? And
13 stepping is, I think, what you're...
But beyond that, they're being bullied. People are being bullied. And so they've had to add languaging to their meetings to tell people what's appropriate and what kind of boundaries it's okay to have in meetings, which that's new. I think it's just we're fighting so much that I'm really interested in that topic. And then Ken Seeley and Eric McLaughlin, they've been part of the recovery community for a long, long time. And this is actually the first time that they're coming to speak on the stage at Finding
They
Freedom.
attend all the time, but now they're going to be presenting.
Absolutely. And they've actually joined as community partners. And so they're going to actually address that issue as interventionists. How do we reach this underserved LGBTQ plus population? And then what do we do once we find them?
Very well said as a summary, and that's just some of what you're going to be offering. I'm going to offer the registration address again, and I'm going to basically let our viewers know, and I would love my guest today to think about anything else you want to add that we haven't touched upon in our episode. But the Finding Freedom Symposium is about bringing forward relevant information for best practices in supporting the LGBTQI plus community with co-occurring disorders. They say, our intention is to offer a container for discovery and focused discussion to find effective solutions for professionals and their LGBTQI plus patients. Our goal is to cultivate a conversation that will lead to clinical research-based information. The conference is open to the community, treatment professionals, doctors, therapists, and anyone who is interested in the unique issues facing sexual identity and co-occurring disorders treatment. We invite you to join for education, conversation, and connection. Would any of you like to add anything to our interview today that you don't think that we've touched upon or that you would like to emphasize?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in. One of the things about the diversity of the theme this year, too often we talk either about sexuality, whether gay, lesbian, bi, trans, or gender. But this conference, this symposium goes even to the next step. That with those elements, also let's look at culture, because that experience, my experience as a gay man, as being white, cisgender, is framed also by my culture and my race. And so those experiences in, say, the Native community, I love that Jonathan pointed out people of color, but even that term is so expansive. And so we want to come as clinicians with a sense of curiosity. I think it's malpractice to tell somebody, oh, I know exactly how you feel because I'm gay too. Well, you know what? My experience as a white guy is so different because for many of myself, I still have white privilege, and I have got to come to grips with that. And how do I bring that even into my community? So that's one of the things that we wanted to really bring out from different cultures, as much of gender and sexuality, and how all of that comes together. I'm an LCSW, and we look at things on a global scale, and a systematic scale, and culture too, because our community is not monolithic, and just as the African American community, the Latino community, the Asian community, the Native community are not monolithic. But right now we are really jumping in there, and we want to hear their stories and hear their experiences and make sure that we become even better therapists and treatment providers, because that's what really the symposium is about, presenting best practices for those that are treating our community. And we want to make sure that that's what we're promoting as well. And so I think it's really important to know what makes this particular symposium different than maybe some in the past is we do have a focus culturally as well as sexuality and gender.
Very
Absolutely.
well said.
I'm sorry, can I add in there?
Yes.
One of the things that Terry's speaking about is when we started this 6 years ago, there wasn't the research. And this year we have two presentations that are actually research-based studies that I can't say that they happened because of this conference, but they certainly are going on at the same time as this conference with the cultural battle, reviving tradition in a therapeutic setting, and also the aging population. And so I really feel that we've been responsible citizens in helping bring about more research in treating this population.
Fantastic. Jonathan, what would you like to add?
Just that, it seems to be the type of conference symposium that's getting better every year. So we're looking at, one of the first things we do when the symposium's over is we meet, we huddle up, we figure out what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we can improve it. And I'm honored to be a part of something that's always looking at ways to better itself. And this year, I think it stands to reason that we're bringing in some amazing speakers, we're bringing in some amazing presentations, as well as some of the presentations in the past that have really impressed us and made an impact on people's lives. So We are really excited. We are actually looking forward to the new format and the way things are kind of going. And we really hope that everyone will click on there and take a look at it, and definitely take a minute to look at the interview with Terry from Nicholas earlier. Terry's an amazing person that does such great work here in the Coachella Valley, and I know we're not supposed to really plug things, but Blue Tiger really is amazing, and I encourage everyone to check that out.
Listen, you're
Thanks,
more than
Jonathan.
welcome to plug things on my show, and I'm happy for people to know that Terry's the founder of Blue Tiger Recovery, which is an amazing organization. Renee, what would you like to plug? Plug your book.
Yes.
Oh, I thought we were going to do that on another show, but
Well,
could
we
plug
will,
my-
but you can briefly mention it.
Okay.
Girl, don't miss an opportunity.
Oh, all
Come on.
right. So I'm a Hay House author, a best-selling, award-winning Hay House author of Winds of Spirit, and it's about my recovery journey and how I found my way through a nature-based traditions into a life of purpose that allows me to put on this conference. And truly, this is an act of service, and you have to be recovered, as Nicholas was saying, to be on the service end of the spectrum. And the conference was always held by Michael's House Treatment Center. And this year I made a big change, and now I'm working with Renewal Behavioral Health. And I've moved into more of the behavioral health, the mental health landscape, as well as we have some addiction treatment centers as well.
Okay, thank you. And Jonathan, do you want to plug anything?
So I want to plug anything. Well, I have something brewing that is really exciting, and everything's not inked yet. So I'll just leave a little cliffhanger there. So it's going to be
That
be
is
wonderful.
that,
Jeez.
and you can see all of us are leaping out of our chairs. We
That's
really
right.
know.
I promise that I will have very, very exciting news very soon, and it's going to be wonderful. 2021, baby.
Okay.
But are they
Well,
going
I
to be
gotta say, too,
sponsors?
I didn't
They're going
pay,
to sponsor.
So
That's
I
the
didn't pay
important
Renee
question.
to have product placement there behind her.
right, exactly. Okay, so
So thanks
listen,
for the tiger.
That's right,
For
yeah,
our-
but it's not blue.
All right, may I have my show back, please?
Oh, no. Forget it.
Thank you very much. So, Finding Freedom is taking place January 20th through the 22nd, 2021. The theme is expanding perspectives in LGBTQi plus mental health and addiction treatment. Renee, it's a hybrid conference, but I want to know, what are these intimate local gatherings that are referenced? What does that mean?
So we're going to have three live gatherings. So there will be one in Palm Springs that Terry's going to host with John Denham. He's going to be talking about the cultural battle, and because of COVID, and we don't know what COVID's going to look like in January, they're going to have maybe 10, 15 people, depending on the rules, so that we can actually have the clapping and the live experience. And then we're going to be doing that in LA. La Fuente Hollywood Recovery is going to be hosting one. And I believe Reno Behavioral Health is going to be hosting the third one up in Reno, so that, again, we have that live energy infused with the more virtual kind of conference, because we want that clapping, we want that experience, and we know that you do too, and we really need that.
Well, thank you so much. You know that I want applause? Is that what you're saying? What does that mean?
You always get it from me, Nicholas.
You get
Oh,
the
yeah.
applause. Yes, the applause.
No.
There's nothing like a room full of people laughing.
Celebrity.
I'm just very happy that we can be playful and light in heavy dark times, and move toward that light. So I want to thank all of you for being on the show. For all of you who are in the show and watching, the more you share this episode across all of your social media, the more that it will benefit the Finding Freedom Symposium and the amazing work that they do. So I just want to invite you to do that. And if you think that you're a fit to appear on HIGHRPOWRD, go to PromoHomo.TV for more information. Thank you all so much.
Thanks,
Love you,
Nicholas.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you, Nicholas.
You're not
You're a rock
required
star.
to. If you want to stay for 2 more minutes, we can have an after the show chat.
Ooh.
But thank you. You
We
don't
want
have
to clap for you
Oh,
too.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. So I just love what I do, and I love the people that I get to do it with, and I have a lot of gratitude for my health, my well-being, my recovery, and the community in which I live that lifts me up and supports me every day. And if you're feeling isolated or alone and that you don't belong or that you don't fit in, reach out. And if you need help, there is help out there. Until next time, I'm Nicholas Snow.
You're with me, it's alright. Together, all our lives, a new star is inside. We're falling.